So today we have an eminent panel of leaders with us who are at the forefront of driving this transformation. And we look forward to an engaging discussion on how collectively we can build the infrastructure so as to power the AI-led governance in India. So I'll just first move to Shri Qazi Mairaj Ahmad sir. You're part of the RDSO Ministry of Railways. Sir, like Indian Railways, if you see, generates large amount of operational data. So my question is, like, how can the AI-ready infrastructure can transform the rail operations as a whole? For example, if you consider intelligent mobility, the safety systems, and also the passenger traffic. So if you want to just highlight on this, I mean, what Ministry of Railways is doing on that front? Yeah.
And thank you, Anshuman, and thank you, State Transformation Commission, for really bringing in one of the finest measures for the AI transformation, in which UP is a major catalyst. As far as the discussion of Indian Railways is there, as you have mentioned, the scale is that we operate at 67,000 track kilometers, which is there. We carry 24 million people daily in our network, and with our safety integrity level 4 Kavach system that has been implanted 2,200 kilometers all over Indian Railways. So we have really brought down this safety value from 135 number of consequential accidents per million passenger kilometer to just 10 years back to 11 in 2025 million passengers per kilometer. And so that is gigantic. The scale is really unparalleled. And we develop about terabytes of operational live data on a day-to-day basis. So this, operationally, we have implemented around 472 kilometers of Kavach SIL implementation in this January only. We have got our 4,154 locomotives fitted with that Kavach, and then 860 stations are Kavach enabled. So that is a huge safety network change which is happening. Then with the advent of this integrated track management system, this online rolling stock management system, Trinetra for loco pilot fog vision, and so we are basically moving from time-based maintenance to actually implementing the predictive maintenance, which we have thought of as a concept just beforehand. And for this, we are not doing something new just creation. We have a long, huge exercise going on for a longer time. So we have got a backbone of around 7,149 kilometers of optical fiber actually laid. We have got 800 number of towers, so they are providing the back spine of the digital network. So we are basically reducing the time gap between the two trains so that we can run more number of trains. Of course, with the implementation of video surveillance, actually at 1,760 railway stations, we are moving and actually implementing this data generation in consultation with MHA. So Indian Railways is a live AI laboratory, and RDSO per se is providing the backbone for Indian Railways, which is safe, which is interoperable, and which is really which can be used across all the boards. So that way, that is sovereign at a national scale. Thank you.
So thank you so much for your thoughts, quite insightful. So I'll like to move to Varun Ranjan sir. Sir, you are the you have a dual role across the industrial infrastructure as well as mining. So how do you see the AI transforming the traditionally asset-heavy sectors, and what kind of digital backbone is required to support this infrastructure?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thanks to the organizers for calling me here and giving me an opportunity to present my ideas. So coming to what industrial ecosystem and how industrial areas are going to be affected with the advent of the AI infrastructure that is going to come up in these sectors. So currently, if we see how industrial areas are being operated, there are mostly 3-4 verticals where we mostly focus on. The first is the land acquisition and the land management, which looks into the land allotment processes and all for the different industrial bodies that apply for the land. The second is the operations and maintenance of the utility services that we are giving there. And third is obviously how do we map the investors who are coming into our state to the requirement that they have for the industrial areas. So developing with the coming of the AI, the primary focus is to how we can optimize these industrial area allotments, land acquisition process, how it can be fast-tracked into a predictive model. So basically, although there is a system where we put in place when we go into the new land acquisition as per the suitability of the areas depending upon the different sectors. So AI can very work well into these areas as to which are the new areas of growth that we are going to see based on the demand, supply of the raw material, the logistic arrangements. So once we get those predictive algorithms from the artificial intelligence systems, these can very well cater to these things. When now we are seeing a lot of interest from various companies for setting up the data centers. And we know that data centers are become the one of the primary levers for the AI systems that country is going to see. So there are fundamentally 4 or 5 major requirements that you have for setting up of data center. The first is the land availability, the second is the power connectivity, the third is the internet connectivity, and the fourth is the water and cooling system. So basically water and cooling system is something that still India is still not thinking about, because when we will have a large capacity of energy consumptions going into the fast data centers and the power requirements, we will be requiring those. So now we are trying to map up our industrial areas near to the water bodies where we can very fluently supply those cooling systems to the data centers. So this is the places where we can see that more and more things are coming into up. Recently, ma'am showed us the new AI startup Rasta.ai, which is talking about how we can improve our road conditions. So similarly, a lot of AI backbone is coming into developing of the utility infrastructures. How do you maintain 24/7 power distribution system into your industrial areas? How do you cater to the growing demand? How do you do the demand forecasting of the power systems, road maintenance and all those things? So these are the things where AI can very intelligently play in. One more experiment that we can see is how government can facilitate the lower level MSMEs into using their data of operations to get better recommendations. So currently in Jharkhand, we are developing a MSME portal under the RAMP scheme of Government of India, where we are developing an AI-based diagnostic frameworks for the MSME, where they can put in their data, they can get a MSME health score out of it, and this MSME health score can tell them that, okay, how good is your financial system, whether you are raising the capital which is higher than the market rate, or the cost of the raw materials that you are purchasing, is it higher than the industry benchmark or your competitors, and how good is your operational efficiency. So once this system gets into place and more data that flows from the industry, from the MSMEs, then we will be able to handhold them and we will be able to tell them as to how better they can grow into them, how professional they can make themselves into the coming years. And not only this will help these MSMEs improve their operational efficiencies, cut the costs, but also make India one of the foremost frontier countries to integrate these MSMEs into the global supply chain.
So thank you so much, sir. So I think digital platforms play a very large role in improving the ease of doing business reforms, be it land allocation, approvals and all. So thank you for your thoughts. So I'll move to Ma'am Safna Nazarudeen, ma'am. You are Commissioner Labour and Skill, Government of Kerala. So as AI reshapes the industries and jobs, so how should government rethink the skilling ecosystems as a whole to prepare citizens for an AI-driven economy? And also, with increasing reliance on citizen data, how do you ensure the ethical AI deployment, data privacy and trust? Yeah,
Thank you, Anshuman, for the question. So this become a very pertinent thing, or human capital development and skilling is very important because our country enjoys the demographic dividend with a median age of say 27, 28. The issue that we face even in the state is that the current skilling or the current curriculum was based for an earlier industry. It's not a lifelong learning, or it's not digitized enough to operate in the current era. In today's world, we can all see that the country currently, or the technology currently, is not how it was 3 years ago, or say 5 years ago. It had developed that rapidly. So we have to move forward from earlier curriculum or just a degree-based learning to a skill-based learning, where it is a lifelong learning. What we focus on currently in the state is also to inculcate these things in the foundational era itself. Even in schools, we have started introducing AI-based learning. In our offices, actually, the state IT mission has introduced for the office staff, for our colleagues as well as the staff, how to analyze AI output, how to use AI tools, how to understand the algorithm bias. All these are important. So we are stepping in that forward, but I would also like to point out that this skilling in the era of AI should also be inclusive, actually. Because as we understand currently, it's more urban driven or English. So are we able to impart this in the vernacular language to different regions of the country? Second is, how do we incorporate interstate migrants, for example? So Kerala is a state with around 15 lakhs to 20 lakhs interstate migrant workers across different sectors: construction, fisheries, service sector. So currently we have a data of these people who are coming for work in the state, but we are not imparting them a training as such. We have introduced welfare measures. So how do we impart training to them? And the other is, which we often forget, the informal sector. I would state an example that a couple of months ago I visited a textile shop. So they will take a picture of us or a picture of the consumer, and then they'll suggest dresses that will suit you or saris that they will suit you, which earlier used to be done by a salesperson. So AI is actually going to impact them also. So our AI training or any skilling that we would do would include all these sectors as well. But I also like to emphasize that this should not, we should not reinvent the wheel. We already have the necessary ecosystem. We have district skill missions, we have state skill missions, we have district training centers, we have centers with public-private partnership, we have around 3,000 ITIs in the state, vocational training centers. So our AI training would be through these systems than in introducing a new system or coming up with new ecosystem. Regarding the second question as to how would you use AI ethically or address the privacy concerns. So why privacy becomes a matter of concern here is that government has a lot of data. Especially if you talk about the labor, we have data on the employability, on the welfare schemes that are being imparted. So AI should always have a human on-site in it. The reason being that the data that government has can be unequal, can have historical inequalities in it. So AI will be working on that data, and that can result in inequality. So whenever we are using AI in any of the system, it should be robust, but we should also have a human oversight over it. That's what I would like to tell. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your stories, ma'am. And it's also always good to hear about how you include the human in the loop, putting the necessary guardrails. So thank you so much. So I'd like to go to now Vivek Yadav, sir. So you're part of the IT and Cybersecurity Ministry of Defense. So, sir, as we know, defense systems rely on AI-driven decision support and situational awareness. So, what is your view on sovereign AI? And if you'd like to highlight few of the sovereign AI deployment in defense, if you can highlight, and also how the cybersecurity, since you're also looking after cybersecurity, so what should be the non-negotiables for building the secure and trusted AI ecosystems in government, particularly from the cybersecurity point of view? Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much, iLounge Media and GovConnect for giving me this opportunity to speak at this August forum. Very valid question actually, but it is when you talk about sovereign AI, it is not just pertinent to Government of India or Ministry of Defense. It is actually pertinent to all the government ministries also. Just to start with, very few days back, there is a friend of mine, she works in the Ministry of Rural Development, and she generally used to type her responses to Claude. And then Claude used to analyze those responses and give us some feedback or make some architecture by which she used to work. And what happened was Claude has the subscription value that after some tokens it will die down and you will not be able to use it. So she asked me that, is there a way out by which I will be able to use this for a longer time? And I told her, why don't you go and ask your ministry itself to buy it? And then she said that there are guidelines that we should not use it. And I asked, why are you using it? So this is the basic premise from where I want to start. When it comes to sovereign AI, it is basically comprises of three things. One is model, another one is data, and the third one is compute. Data sovereignty is obviously, when it comes to defense, it is very much relevant. Why? Because the kind of data which is available with the Ministry of Defense or defense agencies or with the armed forces, it is very critical. The deployment, the scale at which we are working, the number of people who are there, their data sets, their data points, they are very relevant. And obviously this data should not be residing at any other basically model, right? So data sovereignty is one. The model itself has to be ours. Why? Because if we are not, and sir has in the morning rightly brought it out, if our model is not trained on the basis of our requirements, the output which you are going to get, you don't know what the output, how clear that output is that output meets your demands or not. The third is compute. So CDAC is here. Most of the things on the compute side have already been taken care. So as far as comes to the compute side, we are very much efficient ourselves and capable enough to have our own compute side. When it comes to cyber security, it is now very difficult because with Mythos coming in and the other stakeholders in the OpenAI and people who are talking about cyber security. So cyber security is the attack vectors are gonna expand like anything. If you see today, almost all the defense infrastructure which is based out and using the defense, using the open standard based solutions, most of them have got vulnerabilities, but that vulnerability generally who used to find out is a human in the system who used to work on those vulnerabilities, tries to find out. But if Mythos or something similar used to come and it is in adversarial hands, it is going to be very difficult to compete with it. So what we require is AI to fight with AI. So defense has already started doing that. Our SOCs or the security operations centers, we have already started using AI SOC technologies. There are the data set which is available with us. We have started training our SOC centers and CM solutions, SOAR solutions, UBA solution, everything with those data sets. And obviously, it is completely indigenous. We are doing it ourselves. We are not offloading it to anybody. A few examples, you asked me about defense. Most of the examples probably I'll not be able to divulge here, but then there are few things which I can very well tell you where we have implemented few solutions, and I think it is very much implementable in all the organizations. So one solution is that most of the time in ministries, we keep on writing notings for approvals and everything. So in my organization, there was a legacy data which was available on papers. I did an OCR, transformed that particular data in digital form, trained my model, which is again Sarvam, and one more model which was developed while I was working with the Indian Navy, which is known as Narad. So on those particular models, I have trained that, and now in my organization, the notings which are there, they are being getting created by AI. So you can actually give a prompt, and it will be able to give you a note sheet. It's a green sheet, which we call it. And on that note sheet, obviously, the human angle always lies that you have to decide that what changes you need to do. There are presentations which my senior officers used to ask me, and when I was a junior, and now also we keep on presenting it to ministries, we keep on presenting it to NSA, we keep on presenting to the cabinet secretariat. I don't basically give much of an attention to it because the model itself generates those presentations also. So it is all integrated solutions which I have made. Other solutions which I want to talk about in Indian Navy itself, on the aircraft carriers when the plane used to land, it was all pilot's effort that he used to align himself with the deck of the aircraft carrier. And there were few lights which are in front of him, so he used to basically align himself with those particular lights, and it was completely manual solution which were available. So we thought, why not we digitize, we use some kind of image recognition, and by that we'll be able to provide him some solution. So what we did image recognition with the distance. We analyzed how far is the plane, and by that we have actually able to give him the exact coordinate where you have to align to land on the deck. So this is one innovative solution which we did for the Indian Navy. On the basically the side of the warfare, there are multiple number of things in the Indian Ocean regions which we are doing. Previously, there was Information Fusion Center, Indian Ocean region, which was there in Gurugram, where there are foreign naval officers also who sit. They share their data with us, and we infuse it to create a maritime domain awareness for the Indian Ocean region. Now, there is an AI component to it. We have started infusing that entire data to an AI engine, which is again sovereign. We have it in our premises, everything, and by that we are intelligently able to monitor which basically the route of the vessels, how they are traveling, where they are traveling. So these are the few solutions which we have started using. But then everybody has talked about it. The human component in the defense sector is much more larger. Why? Because most of the time what happens is that you need to decide targets. And what has happened in the Maven case, everybody knows that just because in a school few terrorists used to use it at night for a hideout, the US government's Maven decided to bomb it. And what happened was 168 lives of girls got lost. So this is something which is very relevant. The doctrine which is being followed in the defense is just at bellum, just and bellow, how much power which we need to use and how much lethal we should go. So this is something which has never been given to AI in an AI hand in an autonomous mode. There is always a human angle because even if you are generating, most of the time what happens that whenever you are generating something through AI, usage of an AI, the human thinks that AI is intelligent and it must have generated an output which is actually relevant, but it is not. Most of the time, the human side of it is the right side, because we have, so whenever anybody talks about this, I tell them a story, which is a very small story. I'll share it here also, that in Russia, there was a sergeant who was sitting on a duty, and there were a few missiles which were alarmed by a system fired from a US side. And somehow, because of his intelligence, what he did not take any action, because the immediate action which he should have taken was that he should have pressed the button, and that should have automatically released all the missiles. But what he did, instead what he waited, there were silos of other missiles which also got fired from the other side, but despite that he waited, and after 15-20 minutes he realized there is no hit at all. And why it has happened was because there was a bug in a system, because there was few parity bits which were here and there, and because of that the system was treating it as a missile attack. However, it was not a missile attack. So the human in the loop actually saved a World War-like situation. Just imagine Russian side firing missiles back on US without any cause. So this is something which we are always mindful of, that the human in the loop should always be there. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, sir, for highlighting what sovereignty is all about. And also it's quite, I mean to say that getting the examples from you is really very insightful. Thank you so much, sir. So I'd like to move to Chief Commodore Sandeep Wadhwaji. Yeah, so as we know, like CDEC has been central to India's supercomputing journey, right? So how do you see the high performance computing evolving to meet the growing demands of AI workloads across the government sectors, and how also it can be, how the governments can better leverage the computing capabilities for real-time applications, be it disaster management, healthcare, or the urban planning? Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for the question. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me just say how the HPC has evolved in India. Right from 1987, I think I was in class 12th at that time, and the only computer I had seen was a BBC Micro, which was distributed to the KVs under some government scheme. Never heard of what an HPC is, a high performance computer. And that's the time the Indian scientists were told to build one. And they went about building it. And since then, the journey has been till today, 2026. And in this entire journey, we see that the first Param was born. When the hardware was born, the software for that was written by CDAC. That also was utilized for solving a whole lot of problems that were scientific in nature, that were also used for solving flooding-related problems, some governance-related problems, but not really into the domain of what the governments are doing today. So this shift is there in high-performance computing over the years. As we have been developing the Param supercomputer, we have seen that the need has changed. Earlier, it was scientific projects, dealing with weather, dealing with some amount of strategic nature, some amount of flooding problems, something which was not possible to do on any other computer, and you needed this high-performance computer. But things have changed quite a lot since then. Now you find you require the AI compute to be present for solving the kind of problems that we have been discussing since morning. So under the NSM-1, which started in 2015, the Government of India built about 38 petaflops of power. Now, petaflop is a huge figure. It's about 10 raised to power 15 zeros. That many floating point operations per second. Floating point is basically decimal operations that you do. That many operations can be done per second. That compute facility has now been increased to about 90 petaflops. Additional 50 petaflops is being inaugurated very soon. I'm sure the Prime Minister will be inaugurating it another month or two. Another 50 petaflops will come up in the country. Somewhere during the entire process of building these supercomputers, a sound decision was taken that you put all your eggs in one basket and build a huge supercomputer, and it's useful only to a couple of agencies in the government. That was not the way we went. We distributed these supercomputers across all institutes in India and all the IITs, ISEs, various government organizations which needed them. So smaller systems came across all over India, and the total petaflop capacity today, we are going to touch 90. This has helped in penetration of HPC for use by governments and by other agencies all around. So combining all these things together, the NKN, which is the National Knowledge Network, came up. This is what connects all these computers together, and you can utilize the compute power which has come up over there. So we are seeing that today there is a need for GPU clusters. The government has already gone in for 38,000 GPUs, which have been sort of given to the private industry also. They are available for government use also. Now these are all being orchestrated in various data centers all over the country. I think India is the cheapest country to give a GPU for 65 rupees an hour. No other country can provide a GPU to any individual at such a small price. You could go to India AI Mission website, you could log in, create an account, you will get 13 providers of GPUs, and you could pick and choose which provider you want for your GPU. You could use it for training your model, you could do it for running or inferencing, any requirement that you have. It is the cheapest in the entire world. Let me come to the second part of his question, which was more about the usage in terms of how governments can utilize this. So maybe the first thing that we can look at is in the case of disaster management. We spoke a lot about human in the loop. I'll go directly against that. and I will put my case there. Suppose there is a fire in this room. The fire alarm goes off and maybe some sprinklers will come on. Do you want a human to be sitting in the loop to say that there is a fire? We don't want that. We want that system to be operating very fast, very quickly, and very efficiently, and not giving false alarms. Certainly we can't have rain if there's no fire. But if there is a fire, we must have some kind of a sprinkler here. So the human in the loop is not there in such systems. And AI systems can be designed without the human in loop. And I'll give you examples. We were given a project by the NDMA for the glacier lake outbursts which happened. Now, there is a glacier on in one of the ranges in Himalayas, or I'll give you specific examples. The Sisu Lake, which if you cross Manali and you go through the Atal Tunnel, on the other side is the town of Sisu, and the Sisu Lake is there. Now, there's a big glacier there. And like this, there are many glaciers in India which can actually just break, and they can just fall, and they can just sort of create a whole lot of havoc downstream. And we have seen this. This has happened in India. We have seen these things happening in front of us. So what has the government done? The NDMA, what have they done? We have put an AI system in place, and it doesn't have a human in loop. And it is for a warning to be given to everybody downstream. And how it works is that the system is sitting on the glacier. It's got IoT sensors. It is sensing the snow, the precipitation, the wind, the sound, the water level in the lake. Any sudden drastic change, multiple sensors there, AI model running there will detect that yes, there is a problem. And again, these things are in very remote areas, power consumption, operated by solar, capable of having a battery life which is for 3 or 4 days in case there are snowy conditions and no light is available. Making sure that the precipitation, snow, everything doesn't stay on the sensors which are there, on the solar panels which are there. Complete design. Working with an AI model, working with a LoRa kind of a technology which transmits this data maybe every 2 hours, 3 hours to a data center, which analyzes again, sitting on a model there, and which has the capability of sending a message to every mobile which is downstream of this glacier, telling you that there is a glacier outburst, please vacate that area. The time you will get is about half an hour. So if that time and warning is given to you, lives can be saved. So here is a case in point where you can have no human in the loop, and you can actually work with this. The second case I would like to talk about is the eSanjeevani project for healthcare. Right? I don't know how many of you have seen it or not. There is a eSanjeevani website, and if you go and track it, in a day there are about 2 lakh cases which are handled on that entire infrastructure which has been built by the Government of India through CDAC. You have remote areas from where the patients are coming to doctors who are sitting in cities. Connections are made, video calls are there, patient data is preserved. Also, you have access to high quality doctors sitting in remote areas in India. And if you look at it even today, if you look on your mobiles and have a look, you will find that even now, some 50,000 or 1 lakh and this is data which is coming from a website which is recording automatically. There is no human there also, trying to, give any wrong data. So you will see about 1 lakh or 2 lakh cases in a day get done over there. So that's the second case where governance, AI and governance are being utilized and utilized very effectively. The third case I would like to point out is that smart city cases, we find that you want to place cameras everywhere today for security, and it's a big, sort of an issue that, okay, cameras need to be placed. Well, these cameras need to be monitored, and that's the second challenge which you face immediately. It's okay if I have to monitor 5 cameras, or even on this screen, if I can, sort of have 10 or 20 cameras being seen here. But suppose I had 2,000 cameras here. I'm sure all of us also would not be able to see the footage and to try to make some useful, meaningful use out of that. Think of a city, 20,000 cameras, giving you live feed. What is going to happen? You cannot do without AI. It's just not possible. You need AI to analyze this. You need, alerts coming to you, because humans will very soon precisely take out their mobiles. Instead of watching the job that they're supposed to do, they will be busy on their mobiles very soon. And you will find that even your security guards, they cannot look at the screen 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours, the duty that you give them. It's just not humanly possible to do that. So you need the AI there. And that AI again needs to constantly work. And that is the beauty and that is the advantage of AI. It works tirelessly and it works in a manner where it doesn't overlook things. It will see every detail, every small thing repetitively for long hours without getting tired. It'll do it through the day, it'll do it through the night. So I think I've taken too much of time, so I'll pass on to the next person. But these are some use cases in governance which we can straight away utilize. There are a whole lot of other things which are happening, Government of India projects which are of very large scale, which are touching every human in India. For example, the census of India, that is also being done through supercomputers and through the infrastructure that has been set up. Many projects which I can talk about, but due to paucity of time, I will just restrict myself to this. I hope I have answered your questions.
Yes, sir, yes. So thank you, sir, for sharing the journey and strength and also the usage of different applications. Thank you so much for the same, sir. So I'd like to move to Dr. Shilpa Vijayvargiya, ma'am. You're part of the Ministry of External Affairs. So, ma'am, as we know, the cross-border data flows are becoming increasingly complex. Okay. So how can government ensure interoperability while safeguarding the data?
Everybody, they do have proposed, Ministry of Telecommunication, they propose to us that we do have some kind of innovative solution which we want a POC on your database. Everybody knows that our passport database, we do have critical infrastructure as well as personal information of the applicant. So all the security aspect we need to take care by passing or sharing of the data. Due to that reason only, we are not available on internet. We have our all secure MTLS lines so that our passport seva system runs efficiently. So with related to this use case, for example, if I do share my database with, for example, Department of Telecommunication for their anything, for their any POC or any AI-based innovative project, but wherein data gets leaks by ourselves through the network or from there. So accordingly, policy has to be made. So it's not about data locating or sharing outside India, but inside or inter-department also, and accordingly policy to be framed, roles and responsibility. Who is data owner at what time probably? At the time of staging, transmission or storage. So that is answer to your question from my side.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I'd like to move to Shri Ashok Kumar, Chief Product Officer, Courage. So, sir, you might have worked with many organizations with regard to AI transformation. And as we see, many AI initiatives fail to scale despite strong intent. So from your experience working with the public sector, what are the common implementation mistakes organizations make when transitioning from the digital transformation to AI transformation?
Thank you, Anshumanji. Before start, I would say, really great to see a lot of successful initiatives today from various, government departments and the vision which they are carrying. And that's, as an Indian, I'm very proud to see so many initiatives going on. But as you said rightly, right, so many success stories, but unfortunately, I didn't see anybody talking about what were the failures. I'm quite certain all of these pretty much, successful stories had a lot of challenges, right? This is because if you consider, right, we started sometime down the line, we were talking about digital transformation from paper trail to moving into digital data, right? And then now we are talking into AI transformation. Unfortunately, AI transformation is not as simpler as the data transformation. Right? This is because many of the fellow members also pointed out, right, is the mindset change, is the process change. Right? From the AI transformation perspective, right, the AI is focusing, or let's say putting brain on top of the data which has been already gathered. Right? Now, if you apply the same playbook which we use for digital data transformation for the AI transformation, then we would see the more and more failures. Let me put up some observations which we have seen across different failures, why it is happening. One of the major mistake is that when a new initiative is started, it started with keeping in mind, okay, we have data, and we now need to build some use case on top of it, or let's start building a model. Or let's say as a public department, I want to build a visionary model for myself. Unfortunately, if you look at the data available within the governments, right, it's a humongous set of data. And as ma'am already said, data from one department cannot be accessible to another department. It has to go through various channels. And even within a single government department, you would have hundreds of legacy applications running. Now, the problem is that before you start looking at developing models, you need to do data plumbing. Because down the line, if you start building model, after 3 months, you would realize that the data where you are building on top, right, you would see 14, 15 different silos working, not sharing data across departments or even across applications. There are hundreds of different applications working within a single department. Right? You would see there is no data lineage. Each of the application, which has been again coming from digital transformation, using their own data formats, so there is no match between them. All of them using their own identity frameworks, which means for a model to access or have a complete reliable data set, that's a remarkably difficult challenge. And that's the core of the problem. So before starting data models or let's say developing our own LLMs, right, you need to do this data plumbing, where you need to sit within the across departments or within the department, start building the data pipelines first. Maybe put up a data lake on the frame where you can start looking at the data and then building models. The second problem which we have seen across, right, it's more of, again, mindset problem, where digital transformation versus AI transformation, if you start thinking out of a project, not as a platform, in order to build models, right, consider, for digital projects, you have a clear timelines. Okay, this project has to be finished or started by these timelines. But the data models or AI pipelines does not work that way. This is because models get drifts over time. Data changes continuously, which means you need to continuously retrain your models in order to take right decisions. And that's why you would need not only the models, but underneath platform, as sir already suggested, right? From the sovereignty perspective, you'll also need compute, but at the same time, you'll need a platform layer where with the open standards, you can have MLOps platforms running, you can build your data pipelines, right? And you can continuously train your models without being dependent on somebody say, okay, trigger, let's say we have the version 1 and somebody will test it out version 2 and then you trigger. No, let the model retrain itself so that our pipelines and our models are not getting drifted along over the time. Last, and that's another critical aspect, what happens when you have a successful project? After 6 months, who is going to take care of it? So you need an operational perspective as well, because what happens is that, government and industry working together, SIs will build the project, SIs will build the platform for you, and then if they leave, what will happen? How do you ensure that the government departments has the right skill to take up that platform, own it, and have the operational sovereignty, right? Because sovereignty is not just infrastructure or the data residency. It means you have those skills as well. You are not dependent on third party to have those skills and taking the right decisions to take this system forward. I think there can be many more failures, but I'll just keep the time in mind. Thank you, Anshuman.
Yes, thank you, sir, for highlighting a few challenges and the solutions to overcome them. So I'll move to now Manoj Verma ji. Sir, how can a cyber resilient architecture be created, while still maintaining agility and innovation in public digital systems? And also, how security be embedded into AI infrastructure from day one so that it is not considered as an afterthought? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, undoubtedly, AI is, playing a very crucial part for government of India or any state government per se, right? And today, to increase or improve the efficiency, to foster the economic growth, to further enhance the service delivery model for the government actually requires AI, and in the areas of agriculture, areas of traffic management, police modernization. These are certain areas where education, where this AI can actually play a vital role. But at the same time, our government India has taken a great initiative of DPDP Act, which everybody is aware about it. And today, data security is highly important for our country. And it's not only our country, it is important for all the countries across the world. And that is where today the world is drifting away, where the cyber warfare is going to be play a very crucial role in the area of destroying any country from the economic perspective. So that is a very, very important role that's going to be playing. So coming from the cybersecurity part of it, today you have seen that cyber threats are increasing day by day, whether it is deepfakes or AI-driven phishing, which is so sophisticatedly written that at times you will not be able to judge what is the original email and what could be the fake email. So you have to set up your entire architecture of your network in such a manner that you are able to create barriers for any kind of cyber threats that is happening. And everybody would agree, as per the analyst reports also, 90% of the threats or cyber attacks which happens in any department, it is because of the human error actually, right? So we have to design the architecture in such a manner that you trust nobody. So from Fortinet perspective, we built up an architecture which is completely zero trust network, right? And we create a sort of barriers at every level where authenticity or the role base of an user is checked, validated, and thereafter he's allowed to access a designed application. And today we have created many successful projects, and we have executed many successful projects which are national centric also across the country, where this vital architecture has been accepted very nicely. And today the departments are finding that very useful. But as I said, that cyber threats is a continuous thing, and hackers are always finding ways and means to go and keep targeting these architecture side of it. So improvising, capacity building or training your team is a continuous process which every department, every state government has to follow. And this is without improving these areas, you will never be able to actually secure your network. So this is a very, very vital role of it. And while implementing AI, there is no stopping to AI. AI will happen, and people will keep thinking ways and means to automate various factors out of it. And until unless we do not create a very sophisticated, versatile, and performance-oriented architecture within our network, we'll not be able to implement or utilize AI very successfully. So that's, I think I have answered your question.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your views here. I think we are just running out of time, and I'd like to conclude. And thank you to all the panelists here for sparing your time and sharing your views here. It was an insightful discussion, and we look forward to engage further on. Yeah, thank you so much.